The Ottomans understood that Constantinople was more than territory. It was legitimacy. Whoever ruled it could claim to be an emperor in a way that echoed Rome itself. Ottoman courts listened to Byzantine envoys, employed Greek secretaries, and absorbed the habits of an older imperial culture: titles, ceremony, diplomacy. They also absorbed practical knowledge: how to manage a diverse population, how to keep ports functioning, how to tax trade, how to turn cities into engines of revenue. In the decades before 1453, the Ottomans were already becoming, in many ways, a Byzantine successor state in motion, building an empire where Orthodox Christians would remain numerous and economically essential. Murad Erst tested the walls in 1422, but withdrew. The point was not simply military, it was strategic. Constantinople could be pressured, blockaded, forced into humiliating treaties, while the Ottomans consolidated the Balkans. Western crusading efforts flared. Varna in 1444 ended in defeat. The Second Kosovo in 1448 confirmed Ottoman dominance. Each failed coalition was a message. Byzantium could not rely on a united Christendom to save it, and the Ottomans were now the central power of southeastern Europe. Then came Mehmed Erst, young, ambitious, and unusually focused. He prepared as if for a problem that had to be solved completely. He secured his rear in Anatolia and diplomacy in the Balkans. He built Rumeli Hisari on the European shore of the Bosporus, tightening control of the straits and signaling that Constantinople's sea lifeline could be strangled. He assembled artillery on a scale that made the old logic of walls uncertain. Stone that had defied ladders and rams could now be pounded day after day.
In 1453, the siege was not only a clash of weapons, but a collision of exhaustion and momentum. The Byzantine defenders were brave, but few. Imperial troops, Genoese volunteers, townsmen, and monks pressed into service. They repaired breaches at night, prayed in Hagia Sophia by candlelight, and watched the horizon for fleets that might never come. Mehmet's army was vast by comparison, and it was organized for sustained siege. Sappers, engineers, infantry, cavalry, and artillery crews. When Ottoman forces hauled ships overland into the Golden Horn, bypassing the chain that guarded the harbor, it was a theatrical demonstration of ingenuity and inevitability. The city was being attacked from angles that earlier emperors could scarcely imagine. On May 29, the walls finally failed. Constantine XI, the last emperor, died in the fighting, and with him ended the continuous line of Roman emperors in Constantinople. The fall of the city has often been narrated as an abrupt sunset, but what followed was not simply darkness. Mehmet entered a battered capital and chose to make it his own seat of empire. This decision mattered. If Constantinople had been reduced to a provincial ruin, the Byzantine world might have ended in ashes. Instead, the city was refounded, repopulated, reorganized, and reimagined as Istanbul, an imperial metropolis again. Mehmet's policies reveal how the Ottomans replaced the Byzantine world, not by erasing everything, but by taking control of its key structures and redirecting them. The Patriarchate of the Orthodox Church was restored and placed under Ottoman protection, with the Patriarch recognized as leader of the empire's Orthodox Christians. This was not altruism, it was governance. By organizing communities through religious leadership, the state could administer a diverse population more efficiently, collect taxes, enforce order,
and manage disputes without maintaining an impossibly large bureaucracy everywhere. What later historians call the millet logic had roots in earlier practice, but the Ottoman state systematized it and used it as an imperial tool. The Ottomans also adapted Byzantine habits of administration and urban management. A city is not conquered when its gates fall. It is conquered when its markets reopen, its water flows, its courts function, and its streets become safe enough for merchants to travel. Ottoman law combined sultanic decrees with Islamic jurisprudence, but it also worked in a world where many subjects lived under older communal laws and customs. Instead of forcing uniformity overnight, Ottoman officials often confirmed existing practices so long as revenue and order were secured. In this, there was continuity with Byzantine pragmatism. The state's survival depended on workable compromises. Across the former Byzantine lands, Ottoman rule brought new elites and new military institutions, but it also absorbed old ones. Greek and Balkan nobles could become Ottoman vassals, or their descendants could enter Ottoman service. Skilled administrators, translators, and merchants were indispensable in a multilingual empire. The devshirme system, recruiting boys from Christian families for service in the palace and the janissaries, created a class tied directly to the Sultan. To modernize, it can look like pure coercion, and coercion was real. But it was also a mechanism for building a centralized state that could outcompete the feudal fragmentation of the late medieval Balkans. These recruits could rise to the highest offices, giving the Sultan loyal servants who were not rooted in rival dynasties.
The economic map also shifted in ways that completed Byzantium's replacement. Constantinople had once been a node between Black Sea grain, Balkan timber, and Mediterranean luxury trade. Under Ottoman rule, the state rebuilt the city's role as a hub, taxing, protecting, and profiting from exchange. Ports in the Aegean and Black Sea were integrated into Ottoman networks. Land tenure through Timars tied provincial cavalry to the state's fiscal health. Endowments, or waqfs, funded public works, bridges, schools, soup kitchens, creating an Islamic civic infrastructure laid over older urban bones. The skyline changed, but the logic of a capital drawing wealth from a wide hinterland remained strikingly familiar. Culturally, the replacement was complex. Hagia Sophia became a mosque, a profound symbol of conquest, yet the building itself, its dome, its acoustic space, its imperial scale was preserved and revered. Ottoman architects studied Byzantine engineering, and the great Ottoman mosques of later centuries would echo the ambition of the old cathedral while speaking a new religious language. Greek continued to be spoken widely. Orthodox monasteries endured in many regions, sometimes taxed heavily, sometimes protected by local arrangements. The Byzantine world did not vanish. It became a population inside a different empire. What truly changed was the axis of sovereignty. The Byzantine emperor had been the Christian Basileus, the Roman ruler ordained to protect the church and uphold a universal order. The Ottoman Sultan now stood as Padishah, Ghazi conqueror in ideology and increasingly as a universal monarch in practice, an emperor over many peoples. Mehmed II consciously adopted claims that mirrored Roman imperial ambition. He collected Greek manuscripts, debated scholars, and positioned himself not merely as a Turkish warlord, but as the rightful ruler of Constantinople's imperial seat. The replacement, then, was not simply a change of flag. It was a transfer of the idea of empire from one dynasty and faith tradition to another, carried out through conquest, administration, and a shrewd embrace of continuity. By the early modern era, the lands once tied to Constantinople by Byzantine law, church, and trade were tied instead by Ottoman taxation, military organization, and imperial patronage. The old Roman state was gone, but many of its roads, cities, and communities endured, now oriented toward Istanbul. The Ottomans replaced the Byzantine world by capturing its capital, absorbing its people, and inheriting the practical problem Byzantium had always faced: how to rule a diverse, contested crossroads between Europe and Asia. They succeeded where Byzantium faltered, not because they were immune to crisis, but because they built a system flexible enough to survive them, and powerful enough to make the old empire's center of gravity their own.
Subscribe to Forgotten Thrones to uncover the rise, fall, and secrets of lost empires.